You won't be late? There was anxiety in Marjorie Carling's voice. There was something like entreaty. No, I won't be late, said Walter, unhappily and guiltily certain that he would be. Her voice annoyed him. It drawled a little. It was too refined, even in misery. Not later than midnight. She might have reminded him of the time when he never went out in the evenings without her. She might have done so, but she wouldn't. It was against her principles. She didn't want to force his love in any way. Well, call it one. You know what these parties are. But as a matter of fact, she didn't know, for the good reason that, not being his wife, she wasn't invited to them. She had left her husband to live with Walter Bidlake, and Carling, who had Christian scruples, was feebly a sadist and wanted to take his revenge, refused to divorce her. It was 2 years now since they had begun to live together. Only 2 years, and now already he had ceased to love her. He had begun to love someone else. The sin was losing its only excuse, the social discomfort its sole palliation. And she was with child. 12:30, she implored, though she knew that her importunity would only annoy him, only make him love her the less. But she could not prevent herself from speaking. She loved him too much. She was too agonizingly jealous. The words broke out in spite of her principles. It would have been better for her, and perhaps for Walter too, if she had had fewer principles and given her feelings the violent expression they demanded. But she had been well brought up in habits of the strictest self-control. Only the uneducated, she knew, made scenes. An imploring 12:30, Walter, was all that managed to break through her principles. Too weak to move him, the feeble outburst would only annoy. She knew it, and yet she could not hold her tongue. If I can possibly manage it. There, she had done it. There was exasperation in his tone. But I can't guarantee it. Don't expect me to, certainly. For, of course, he was thinking, with Lucy Tantamount's image unexorcisably haunting him, it certainly wouldn't be 12:30. He gave the final touches to his white tie. From the mirror, her face looked out at him, close beside his own. It was a pale face, and so thin that the down-thrown light of the electric lamp hanging above them made a shadow in the hollows below the cheekbones. Her eyes were darkly ringed. Rather too long at the best of times, her straight nose protruded bleakly from the unfleshed face. She looked ugly, tired and ill. 6 months from now her baby would be born, something that had been a single cell, a cluster of cells, a little sack of tissue, a kind of worm, a potential fish with gills, stirred in her womb and would one day become a man, a grown man, suffering and enjoying, loving and hating, thinking, remembering, imagining. And what had been a blob of jelly within her body would invent a god and worship. What had been a kind of fish would create, and having created would become the battleground of disputing good and evil. What had blindly lived in her as a parasite worm would look at the stars, would listen to music, would read poetry. A thing would grow into a person. A tiny lump of stuff would become a human body, a human mind. The astounding process of creation was going on within her, but Marjorie was conscious only of sickness and lassitude. The mystery for her meant nothing but fatigue and ugliness, and a chronic anxiety about the future, pain of the mind, as well as discomfort of the body. She had been glad, or at least she had tried to be glad, in spite of her haunting fears of physical and social consequences, when she first recognized the symptoms of her pregnancy. The child, she believed, would bring Walter closer. He had begun to fade away from her even then,